Hey, welcome back to another review, pre-review, first impressions of Warhammer High Elves Armies project. Okay, so this is your first one. I'm going to sit here and do a quick first impressions kind of mini review of what I think of the High Elves and the Warhammer Armies project. And I plan on returning to this video in about 6 months, maybe a little bit longer, and with more experience, more games under my belt to see if I agree with my opinions or if I was just way off. I will ignore named characters, special characters throughout this first impressions book because I believe they some of them are really overpowered as a whole, and some of them are underpowered. Some are fine. It's an easy thing to balance by just agreeing not to or to use special characters, so we just kind of gloss over them. And I actually kind of like the idea of named characters or some of them being overpowered anyway. All right, so High Elves in 8th edition of Warhammer Fantasy was top tier, super top tier, amazingly overpowered. The biggest struggle for making high elf bat reps in the past was making sure you toned, like made a playable list, but you toned down enough to the appropriate power level of your opponent's list. It was a big struggle in 8th edition because the elves were just good. Always strikes first was a rule that just put them over the top. Now it's an interesting. I guess I shouldn't spend too much time on this, but elves have had an interesting roller coaster of a past, being that they've had times where they were just terrible. They've always been a hard model to accurately point cost because they have superior stats to like your average baseline stat being a human. They have superior stats to many models, but their superior stats tend to be, well, initiative for one. Things that you can't let them have high initiative for no point cost, but has in the past rarely been worth it. They struggled in combat in the past, but the 8th edition came along and they gained always strikes first, which was more than solved that problem. Moving over to the Armies project, that was the first thing gone. You know what? I get it. Many people hated it. Now we got martial prowess rerolling Wednesday in close combat. I think that is a very, very good change, acceptable change. It's something, it's nice, and it's not useless without the annoyance of always strikes first. Almost as good as eternal hatred, right? However, my initial guts, my initial gut feeling about the High Elves, uh, they've been overhit. Now, half a dozen games in, maybe less, maybe like 4 games in. I may be wrong. Maybe they weren't overhit. Yeah. I got so used to playing toned down lists for so long that I just didn't like. It took me a while to accept that I was able to bring good things and better units and good combos, which is nice to be able to do that nowadays. Uh, but they do seem a little bit on the weak side in close combat if we talk about their generic core, their spearmen. Now, their elite infantry, I have had some nice experience with them. All three of them are very nice. I really really like them. Phoenix Guard seem to be a really good anvil. Swordmasters are a spectacular hammer, and they both those models gained heavy armor, just enough of increase. It was a really positive change. Now, the white lines, they were the go-to back in 8th edition. Sword Masters being useless, Phoenix Guard not showing up too often, just because of better combos. But white lines, they maintain medium armor or 5-up armor saving close combat. They still have their line cloak, which is not bad. They have a version of their old lion stances. It's a 5th edition thing that I was happy to see come back. They seem of the three to be the least interesting to me. They don't have the resilience of either units. They don't have the punch of the swordmasters, but they do have a punch. But they have stubborn. So I suspect I'll be using the white lines the least of the three moving forward. But either way, the elite infantry are very nice. Now, while I'm not necessarily saying elves and WAP need a boost. I did think that literally just a couple of months ago. Greater experiences said no, maybe not so much. However, one thing I think I want to say 100% of the people I've talked to agreed with is they have this rule called Elven Grace, the 6-up dodge. You know how dodge works, one of the core rules. It's a 6-up ward save in close combat, so long as the model that they're taking the save from hasn't attacked before them. Not bad, but universally, everybody I've talked to, even the people who hate high elves, have agreed with me, and not even. I don't think it wasn't even my idea. It was somebody else's idea. Maybe Elven Grace, the dodge should just be on all the models all the time. Just give elves 6-up wards or dodge save all the time. Take away the stipulation. That being said, not a hill I'm willing to die on, but it could be. It's a minor buff that again, even people who hate high elves that I've spoken with have actually agreed with that one, which is weird because I love debating Warhammer, and two people rarely agree. Elven longbows gaining a bonus armor piercing. Good. A kind of not pigeonholes you, but it kind of makes you not want to. Your strongest way to play high elves is bring a lot of bows, bring one block of lead infantry, maybe two. I'm not positive on that yet, and a lot of magic defense. It can lead to a very static and boring playstyle for the high elf player, even the opponent. Unless you're really into that kind of playstyle, then go nuts. But yeah, I don't want to be forced into bringing bows, but I don't think you can successfully play a high elf game without a number of bows. Sorry, looking off screen here, scrolling down along my end. Okay, I'm good for time. Great Eagles. They were hit. Great Eagles. I don't know what value they have anymore. Now they need to be hit. They were way too good at redirecting. Way too good at it. Now they can't do it anymore. Now they're just basically War Machine hunters, and they're not that good at it. But they can do the job. But Great Eagles need to be it. I suspect I'll be using less and less of them moving forward. I feel like I probably won't be using my high elf chariots that often. The rules for chariots not being able to really maneuver that well is, I think, is a pretty good rule. I really dig it. With my orcs and my beastmen, whatever, send them forward, let them do their thing. The high elves, I find it's a little too restrictive for them. You gotta play them really more finesse. They actually restrict your movement a little bit, so I wouldn't change it, but I suspect I'll be using less and less of my high elf chariots moving forward. I love the chariot changes to WAP, but not liking them for my high elves because I find I can't. I need to back them up when I can't. Lore of High Magic was in 8th edition just terrible for high elves. It just didn't do enough, and it still isn't a great lore. It's not terrible lore. But now that ward stays stacked, I mean the Shield of Safri, the trait from the what do you call it? The lore attribute. It's stacked previously. It gave you a ward save of 6-up when you cast a spell, and then 5-up and then 4-up. But now that it stacks with like your innate, say, dodge, or even the parry of the White Lions, one of their stances, or just the parry in general, it makes it a little bit more interesting because you have a 6-up. So you're starting with a 6-up, so you're getting to a reasonable save with just one spell being cast. Unfortunately, if it wasn't for that lore attribute, I would still think Lore of High Magic is it is lackluster. But I think I will be using it more than I did previously. Again, I wouldn't recommend the change because you can't change everything. The high elves have a crap ton of magic items. I always find I can't get all the magic items I want in my list. Points are just really high across the board on high elves. Actually, a few months ago, I said, and because you heard me say it, I think all high elf inventory is overpriced by about 1 or 2 points, and you should reduce them all by 1 or 2 points to make them more playable. And a lot of people just lost their shit on that one. That's ridiculous. But I tried to explain, do the math. On average, you're gaining, if you lower the point cost by 2 points for every model in your army, except for the bows. I wouldn't do the bows. But you lower the point cost of every model in the army without a bow by 2. You're netting like a hero level character and not even a magic item. No, I am not saying they need a point cost reduction. I will come back to this in 6 months and see if I agree or disagree with that statement, because I did think they needed a point cost. Now I don't think they do. However, I wouldn't be opposed to getting one, especially on maybe the let's scroll down here to the Corian of the Spearmen. They're 11 points a model. They come with a medium armor, a shield, and a spear. They fight at an additional rank. Um, with that with that dodge, with that martial prowess, 11 points seems reasonable. Like, when you look at that, you look at their stats, look at their equipment, look at their special rules, look at their points, like, yeah, 11 points. Now, that is encroaching the point cost of elite infantry for some other armies. So typically, we're looking at 13 points before something's really elite. But we're getting there. 11 points a model, and it seems to make sense on paper. They just don't perform. They can't hold up to anything. So yeah, I want my spearmen to be more viable, but I have no suggestion how to do it. I don't think a point cost, maybe, yeah, I think point cost reduction of the spearmen is needed. Warriors I don't care for because they have no models armed with them. Seaguard are up there in points, but I think appropriately so. Archers, I think 12 points a model is not bad at all. Silverhelms, I've had really bad luck with mine, but I don't think that's fair to judge the Silverhelms with them, with my experiences. I mean, I haven't used my Dragon Princes enough, though I got 15 more, so I'll have some more experience with them. I suspect I'm going to enjoy them. They're up there in points. A little disappointed if the Barding doesn't or also reduces your movement speed, unless I missed that. I would have liked to see Dragon Princes gone up to Strength 4. At 28 points a model, they do have 2 attacks. Yeah, I would have liked to have seen Dragon Princes go up to Strength 4, but yeah, again, not really that big a deal. Bolt throwers technically got nerfed. They got nerfed. And then buffed by the core rules of shooting change. So bolt throwers are, they were not mandatory in 8th edition, but in every previous edition of Warhammer, they pretty much were. And I think now that we're in WAP, I believe bolt throwers are mandatory again. I think they do a lot. I think you have to have a mixed list. Oh, we're going to overtalk here. You need to have some shooting, some magic defense. You have to have melee, and you have to have maneuvers or fast-moving units. Phoenix Guard are really good. Going back to rare, I was a little disappointed with, but I also understood. Sky Cutter, I don't know why it's rare. Just don't know why it's rare. Maybe I should try it more. Maybe it appropriately is or should be rare. I am disappointed that the Frostheart Phoenix and the Flame Spire Phoenix have become the same choice. So in a 2,000 point game, you can't bring both. I understand why it happened. I personally wouldn't do it often, but the fact that the option isn't even there is a little disappointing. But again, I understand why, so I'm not going to complain. I suspect when I come back to this review in 6 months, it's going to be a nothing issue for me. So yeah, Hiles, the Spearmen need a little bit of a boost. Very expensive models across the board for toughness 3. Though the army did as a whole gain greater armor saves, like across the board. So I dig it. It's one of my favorite armies. I'm gonna enjoy them going forward. And just remember, I'm gonna come back to this and see if I'm gonna watch my own video in 6 months or so. See if I agree. Let me know what you feel. Comment below. I'm limited to my limited games, my experience of the limited games I've played. So I don't know everything, or I don't have enough experience, what I'm trying to say, with my Hiles yet to really give them a good old, this is good, this is bad, here's what's what. Now, I will have another one of these reviews going up on Sunday. I have not yet recorded it, but I'm going to record it the day I upload this one. So comment below with the one you want to see next. What's the next first impression / review do you want to see next? Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Happy wargaming.